Once upon a time, a very long time ago, in ancient Greece, there was a young woman by the name of Arachne. Now, Arachne was a very talented weaver, and she could weave tapestries like no one else around. And everybody was just amazed at the kind of work she did. It was so good, in fact, that Arachne was quite proud of herself and was, in fact, got a little arrogant and haughty about her talent, so much so that when anybody suggested that maybe she had taken lessons from the goddess Athena, she would get angry and say, "I taught myself. I'm as good as the goddess Athena. I'm better than the goddess. There's no one who's as good as I am." Well, as you know, the goddess Athena is the goddess of all domestic crafts and arts. And she got wind of this. And she came down in the guise of an old woman. She thought it might be a good idea to set the young lady Arachne straight and let her know who really is the goddess around here. So in the guise of an old woman, she cautioned Arachne and said, "You know, you really should be careful about your hubris, your overweening pride, and that the goddesses don't like to hear things like this." Well, Arachne said, "I don't care. I'm better than any goddess. I'm the best there is. I can weave the best tapestries that can be done." So Athena took off her guise as the old woman and said, "I'm here, and the contest may now begin." So everyone gathered around, miles around, to see the goddess Athena and Arachne in their contest of weaving a tapestry. And they began. Arachne started on her tapestry and the goddess started on hers. The goddess was weaving pictures of all of the wonderful things that the gods had done for humanity. And Arachne was weaving a tapestry of all the terrible things that had happened to people on this planet. And the gods were involved in these things. Such things as when Zeus came down in the form of a swan and made love to the maiden Leda. Well, by the time Arachne was mostly finished, Athena looked over at the tapestry and was frankly outraged by all of the bad things that Arachne had put in her tapestry about the gods. So she just snapped her fingers and the tapestry, poof, just evaporated. And then she reached over to Arachne and put her calm hand on the young woman's forehead. And with that, Arachne's mind cooled. She became more objective and she could see what she had done. She was so overcome with guilt and remorse that she went and hung herself. She just hung herself right up to a tree and died there. Well, Athena was feeling kind of bad about that. So she went over and she said, "Arachne, you don't need to die, but we do need to have a lesson here." And so she put some kind of a caustic or some herbs or something on Arachne, and Arachne's nose fell off and her ears fell off and her hair fell out, and she began to grow 6 arms or legs, and she began to resemble a spider. And Athena said, "From now on, Arachne," who was just then coming up to life, she said, "you and all of your offspring will be hanging in your tapestry, in your weavings, throughout eternity as a lesson to humanity." So it's very important to remember that anger and arrogance is a deadly combination, and it can cause blindness even when your eyes are wide open.